I want to
Really,
sit
yeah.
and relax and enjoy a movie with my husband, and oh my
Yeah.
God, all of a sudden somebody's got cancer. And that is devastating to see that we are portrayed as victims. We're losing our hair. Not everybody loses their hair. I did not lose hair. Different treatments do different things.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Voice of Cancer Patient Talks. And today we have guest speaker is Kathryn White. And Kathryn is a certified public school teacher, a certified culinary nutrition expert, and she's a registered yoga teacher with over 500 hours of experience, and us holistic cancer coach and a wellness coach as well. So first of all, thanks a lot, Kathryn, for coming here. It's such a noble cause, and being here means a lot to us. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I love to talk about women and their health and wellness and being a thriver. So this is fantastic.
Thank you so much. And do you want to start diving into the questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Okay, so perfect. So, Kathryn, your journey from cancer survivor to a health coach who empowers women is truly inspiring. Can you share with us what led to it? You embrace this role and mission.
That's such a great question. Because when I was first diagnosed in 2015 with stage 4 colon cancer, I remember saying to my husband, I don't want to be known as Kathryn, the cancer survivor. I just didn't want to have that label. It didn't feel right for me. And as I've moved through these years, almost 9 years now that I've been living with cancer, over that time, I realized that I think this was what I was supposed to be doing, is helping other people. Like, I've always been a teacher. I left teaching because it didn't work for me anymore. And I was so curious about, like, what could I do with this diagnosis, that I just felt this calling to support other women and to really show them that, and not just women, men also, but specifically I work with women, but that there is a way that you can live with a diagnosis, that when you have tools and strategies, when you know what to do, you can live your best life and really learn how to be present in your life. So I just had this calling to share my story, but more so to share what I have learned so that other people can have a similar, hopefully as successful experience.
Okay, that's brilliant. And on to my next question. I've noticed that there is a central theme is resilience in all of your work. Like, everything revolves around resilience, and you advocate that. Like, from your own experiences, like, what do you believe are the key elements of resilience? Like, particularly for women, as you said, like, your male line of work involves a lot of women. So what do you think are the key elements for resilience for women who are undergoing chronic illnesses? Like, how can they up a notch, and how can they develop resilience to tackle like such a traumatic experience?
Mm. You're right. It is a very traumatic experience. It's really, it can sit so deeply in your body, and you don't even realize that you're holding on to all of these pieces. So the question around resiliency is really such a great question, because I'm not sure that's something that people think about. I think, we move forward like every day. Okay, like, what am I going to eat, and how am I going to navigate doctor's appointments, and how do I even navigate my life, take care of my children? There's so many big questions that people might not even realize they have, because once you get that diagnosis, like, your brain can just shut off.
Yeah,
And so
true.
that resiliency piece is really, really important. And so in my own world, resiliency comes from gratitude.
Okay.
And I know that might sound like, how can I be grateful when I'm struggling? How can I be grateful when
Yeah.
this thing is happening in my life that is like wrecking my life? But in all of the yoga teaching and learning that I have done, it comes back to that philosophy of self-love and self-care and self-belief. And so resiliency, I think, comes from actually a gratitude practice for being grateful. And when you can be grateful, even for the smallest things, it can create create inside of you self-belief and self-love and that ability to get up and keep moving forward. It's hard to quantify resiliency because it's different for everyone. There's situations, everybody's story. Like you could line up 5 women who all had the same cancer diagnosis, but each of their stories is going to be different based on where they come from. But if you can get grounded in yourself and believe in yourself and just be so grateful every day for even the littlest things, that can make such a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer. And I believe that everybody's journey is unique. And I think a lot of times for someone, getting up is just a big form of an achievement. And for someone, battling a lifelong issue could be something very of paramount importance to them. So I think everybody's journey is unique. So yeah, brilliant answer. And on to my next question. I've noticed that you speak a lot about the power of healing. So can you talk to us about, on a tangent of emotional and spiritual and physical wellness?
Yeah.
Like what healing is on a spiritual, emotional, and physical tangent, especially for women who are again going through what they're going through.
Yeah. Another really great question, because it's, we think perhaps healing is that conventional medicine piece, which it is. Conventional medicine saved my life. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about my medical team. But healing, I think, really, in spite of external circumstances, is really an internal journey. It's really that diving deep into who am I as a human, and what can I believe in, and what can I do to keep myself moving forward. So our brain is such a powerful catalyst for our thoughts and our feelings. And I think that one of the pieces that's maybe missed in the healing process is bringing the brain on board, bringing our thoughts on board. So if you think about the emotional health and well-being of a person, if they are telling themselves that they can't do this, that this is hard, then the brain is like, okay, this is hard and you can't do this. And our body hears everything we tell it. So when we have something, even if it is, whether it's an external spiritual experience or an internal spiritual experience, when we have something that we can believe in and we can align our thoughts and our body to work together, that's where healing begins. Like we often think of, okay, healing, I'm going to change how I eat, start exercising, drink more water. But all of those things are good and will work, but you have to have your emotional self and your mental self, your brain self on board with really believing that that is possible. And healing, again, is going to look different for everyone. My body has healed, but 5 weeks ago, I just had another cancer-related surgery. So I am still living with cancer, but I know how to navigate it now. I know how to do it differently because I have healed other aspects of myself, including my soul. And I've come to this place of understanding that when I can love myself and believe in myself and love my body despite what it is going through, that is where healing can come from. Does that make sense?
It obviously does. And also you're trying to say that what we say to ourselves, the self-dialogue, that matters a lot. Like if you keep repeating certain things, the neural pathways get stronger, and it goes both ways for positive and negative things.
Yeah.
So spot on.
Yeah, the neural pathways are incredible. Like I had no idea that we could actually rewire and reframe how our brain sees things, but you're right. And so like part of my practice is mantra every day. And one of my favorite ones that I'd love to share is like, I am a beautiful miracle. And that just every day, I'm a beautiful miracle. I can do this. I love myself. Like mantra is so powerful. Repetitive prayer, repetitive mantra. There's a study that showed, a 2015 study showed that women who practiced repetitive meditation, mindfulness, gratitude, mantra, yoga, there was reduced symptoms of IBS and IBD, reduced anxiety, and better quality of life. Like that's how powerful our thoughts are.
Yeah, true. One of our speakers also had a mantra. She said, I am light and I am peace. And it kind of
Yes.
resonated with me a lot. So, on to my next question. I noticed you're an avid traveler. And for someone who has traveled extensively, like, what's your perspective? What does travel do for wellness? And are there any practices or cultures which you saw that have immense potential to have an impact on our wellness? Like certain
Mm.
cultures, certain practices which you went and you took them home with you, like you live by it.
I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed, I've traveled a fair bit in Europe, and people go outside. People go to parks. People bring their
Okay.
families together in parks.
Yeah.
And you know, there are different cultures. I love when people like have a barbecue and they bring the barbecue to the park in the middle of London and they sit together and they eat together and they enjoy together, and there's that generational experience that happens
Yeah.
within these families. Because I think part of dis-ease in our culture here in North America is our disconnect from each other and
Yeah.
from ourselves. So seeing community happen and the enjoyment of food and fun, and kids playing soccer, football in Europe, and just
Yeah.
being present. But also in all of the reading that I've done, the practices around food in Europe and the regulations around food in Europe are very, very different than in North America. There are very strict rules around what can go into food in Europe. And in North America, we have many, many things in our food that are unpronounceable, chemically based, food additives, food colorings that the
Adultery.
European standards don't allow for. And that stuff is making us ill.
Yeah.
So I think that, the cultures that are and the countries that are really getting outside, spending time together as families, sharing that intergenerational knowledge, eating together and eating foods that are healthier is so important.
Yeah. You're right. Absolutely right. Like the simple act of having a meal together, it kind of sends a ripple out. And especially in Asia and Europe, like we have this culture of joint families, like extended families even they live together, they dine together. So yeah, you're absolutely spot on that. And so pivoting to my next question, I want to ask you this: like you firmly believe in the strength and capability of women to overcome challenges. So can you provide some practical advice for women who are actually feeling overwhelmed by the struggles and the adversities and the stigmas and a lot of times bad people, toxic community. Like a lot of people actually see cancer as a stigma. So is there any practical advice which they can use to empower themselves and create this bulletproof vest where they become stronger and they tackle everything, with a steady and a calm head?
That is so good. That's such an interesting statement that you made. Like, there's such a stigma around cancer, and there really is. So, I have a number of thoughts on this. One of them is I'm just going to put it on the table. The media needs to change how they portray people who have cancer. The media needs to stop. It is really, really hard as someone who's living with cancer to turn on a movie and the protagonist in the movie is dying of cancer every time. Books that nobody has it's always cancer, and that's a really hard thing for someone who is getting up every day and trying to figure out how to just get out of bed. I want to sit and relax and enjoy a movie with my husband, and oh my God, all of a sudden somebody's got cancer. And that is devastating to see that we are portrayed as victims, weak, pale, gray. We're losing our hair. Not everybody loses their hair, by the way. I did not lose my hair. Different treatments do different things, but we are portrayed as victims.
Yeah.
We are not victims. We didn't do this to ourselves. Cancer is happening in our body as a cellular response to external circumstances or internal traumas that we've held on to, or the food, whatever it is. But we need to stop being shown as being weak and vulnerable, because there's some pretty kick-ass women living with cancer who are doing amazing things. So that's kind of that's my platform on that. But in terms of like, how do you make yourself bulletproof? There's so much work out there right now around boundaries. And I think boundaries are really, really important. There are people, one of the things I found most difficult, and I understand why, people want to make connections. People don't know what to say. People want to always, whatever it is, whether it's cancer or not, get into an experience with someone and be part of their experience. So what's the first thing that people say when you tell them you have cancer? Like, oh yeah, my cousin had cancer and it didn't go well, and their treatment, they were so sick and then they died. And it's like, okay, well, that's not really very helpful, actually. So it's not, because what it does is it reinforces in the brain that this is a tragedy, that this is not going to go well. So that bulletproof vest needs to be boundaries that include being able to say, I need you to stop right there. Thank you for trying to share with me. But right now I need to protect my heart and myself. And this is not helpful to me.
Yeah, true.
It's really hard to stand up to other people on a good day. And when you're feeling vulnerable and your whole energetic self is exhausted, to be able to say to somebody, please don't tell me negative stories, is hard. But I think that's something that has to be in everybody's toolbox. And it's not because people are mean. It's just they don't know what to say. And cancer is uncomfortable because we've made it uncomfortable.
Yeah, true. And like piggybacking on one of your points, I've also noticed that people lack empathy at times when dealing with sensitive topics. Like, knowing what to say, when to say is a skill. And especially when you surround yourself with the right group of people, especially in such a testing time, I think that is arguably the best investment you can ever make. Because if you're constantly surrounded by someone who's, I would say, negatively impacting your well-being, it can't bode well for you.
Right.
So,
right, because we're energetic beings, right? We are vibrational energy. And so when you surround yourself with negative vibrational energy, it's going to drain you of your own energy. And so, like you said, when you surround yourself with the right people who are on that higher vibration with you, or can elevate your vibration and make you feel better about yourself, that can make all of the difference. And being able to really know who those people are and invite them into your circle, and be able to lean into them when you need that lift. That is huge.
Exactly. And on to my next question. What are some of the common hurdles like you've observed with women who are undergoing chronic illnesses, and how do you guide them towards finding their footing again and moving forward? Like, the journey to wellness before and after diagnosis and before and after chemotherapy is a totally different ball game. So how do you guide women, let's say even young mothers at times, to empower themselves again and just shed light on like one of the most common problems, so that everybody watching and everybody who will watch this again knows that you're not alone?
I think one of the first things that happens when people are diagnosed is they go inside, and like everything comes in to start protecting themselves, and to I think it's just like a response that our body naturally, I'm going to go in and build that wall around myself. And so in order to keep moving forward, it requires vulnerability. It requires that ability to be able to say, I can't do this alone. I need help. So asking for help is a superpower. It's really And it's hard to ask for help, especially when you don't know what to ask for. So like you referenced, like moms, my boys were teenagers when I was diagnosed. And if I had to do it again differently, I think that I would have to have a deeper understanding of what I needed. So it's easy for me to sit here now and say, well, this is what you need to be asking for, but in the moment you don't. So what can you ask for in order to support yourself and get help? When people offer, oftentimes we don't know what to say. What can I do? I don't know. What can you do? You can make me something to eat, but I'm going to ask you to make this recipe for me that is healthy, because we want to be feeding our bodies healthful food. And because people want to help, they're just going to bring over whatever. But our core foundation of healing does start on a cellular level. So please make me this recipe. What can I do? Can you please pick my kids up from school? Can you please take my child to their activity? Internally, what can you do? You can come back to that gratitude practice and that self-care practice and really make time and honor yourself. Because if you're not honoring yourself, if you are giving and giving and giving and not taking care of what's happening within yourself, then you're already sort of starting from the back foot. And we want to be starting, from on our forefoot. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
So I think you're answering it in a way where you feel is correct, and I think your perspective is much more profound than mine. So please carry on.
So in terms of like, where do people come from and where can they land? Again, they come from a place of fear and overwhelm and misunderstanding, and this belief that cancer is a death sentence. And it's not. There are so many things available now to people that can be healing. I don't use the word cure, because that's something that is, it's different, like we said, for everybody. But there are healing opportunities, but you need to know what to be able to do. So starting with moving through that fear can be asking for help, getting support. Like I said, that's a superpower. Building a toolbox of strategies, starting with gratitude, self-belief. For me, my yoga mat has been like a huge place where I go, even if I'm not practicing yoga, being on my mat and having that safe place to breathe. To breathing is huge. People don't know how to breathe. People get stuck in their breath. When we breathe in, we activate our sympathetic nervous system, but when we breathe out, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system. So getting that central nervous system under control just by breathing is such a powerful tool, and we're not taught that. So that's a strategy right there. Take a breath and just pause and just know that you probably have tools inside of you that you don't even know that you have. We have so many pieces of resiliency and tools inside of us that we can access based on our past experiences that may not be in the forefront of our mind, but they can start to come up when you open yourself up to, what can I do? How can I do this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think you said right, the schooling doesn't teach us present moment awareness or breathing or meditation. And those are one of few skills which actively help us throughout our life from start to finish. So, and we are towards the tail end of our questions. And I would like you to give a heartfelt message to the community, like people who are going through cancer and women who are finding it difficult to find their feet. What would be your message to the community? It could be totally heartfelt.
I think it's believe in yourself. Believe that you have so much ability to navigate difficult things when you believe in yourself, and really take that time to be present, to slow down, to sit with your feelings and let them move through, not put them in boxes and put them on a shelf. We have to move through these feelings. And if you can move through the feelings, the emotions, it's going to help to create self-belief. It's going to help to create possibility. It's going to help to create peace. Find peace in your heart. Find a way to find peace in your heart, whether that's putting your feet in water, standing in the grass, lifting your face up to the sun, whatever it is. Find a way to find peace that you can keep coming back to when things feel hard and overwhelming. But I know that you can do this. I know that it is possible to have this life. It's not a perfect life. It's not always easy, but when you can believe in yourself and find peace in your heart and feel gratitude, it is possible.
It's possible. True. And if anybody has any questions, please ask in the chat box. Kathryn, would you mind waiting for a few minutes? Like if anybody has any questions.
Absolutely. Happy to.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions regarding anything, please ask. Kathryn is waiting here for us. Also, Kathryn, can you tell us how we can find your social media channel?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram under @Kathryn White Wellness, and my website is kathrynwhite.coach. So it's Kathryn, Kathryn, white.coach. And I have a podcast called the Living to Thrive with Cancer podcast. So people can find that on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts also.
Okay, brilliant. And if anybody has any questions, please don't feel shy. Just ask.
Can I offer, one of the questions that I often get is, what is coaching and how does coaching support? And sometimes people think that coaching is therapy, but it's not. And it brings us back to that conversation around coaching is about being here in the present. You know, therapy is wonderful for people if that's what they need. But coaching allows you to be holding completely here right now. And a coach helps people to move gently into the future. And I know for people who are living with cancer, and from my own experience, projecting into the future is hard. There was a time when I couldn't even make decisions about what I wanted for dinner. I was so overwhelmed. Or like look 3 weeks down the road or a month down the road, and that can feel really hard. But if you can be present right now and envision a possibility of the future, or set a goal for yourself, even like a week from now, I am going to, then it helps ground you in the present and keep you moving forward. And that's what coaching does, is really work through those pieces of how can you be here right now? How can we resolve what you're feeling right now? And then keep you moving forward.
Yeah. So wrapping this up, thank you so much, Kathryn. This was brilliant. I learned a lot. I hope our audience learned a lot, and you gave some really insightful answers. It made me ponder, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the audience also gained a lot from it. And I wish you all the very best, and please keep spreading your light. And thanks once again for taking out time and enriching us with this wonderful event.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the work that you're doing. You know, people who have cancer need a voice, and you being that voice for them and starting these conversations that are hard to have is really a wonderful, wonderful thing. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Grateful. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.